And welcome inside the Mountain West Network studio. Ted Sundquist, Mountain West football analyst, and Jesse Kurtz here to break down Week 8 in the Mountain West Conference. Got 4 games, including some big rivalry games to talk about. Let's start with the border war. Colorado State at Wyoming for the Bronze Boot. Colorado State 2-4 coming off a loss to San Jose State. Wyoming did beat New Mexico. They are now 4-2 on the year. Let's start with talking about Colorado State. Kevon Cartwright and Crockett Gilmore quickly becoming the favorite targets of Garrett Grayson. Combined for 3 touchdowns against San Jose State. Cartwright, multiple touchdowns in back-to-back games for the first time in his career. These tight ends are becoming a big part of the Rams offense.
They really are. Hybrid tight ends have become a large part of not only college football, but professional football as well. And at 6'4", 245 pounds, Cartwright has the length and size to outright rebound those defensive backs, but he's got the athleticism to create separation against linebackers, and he really makes it difficult on them. He's already got 5 touchdown receptions through 6 games. Last year, only 3 throughout the entire 2012 season. 6 of his catches right now are for 15-plus yards, 3 of 25-plus yards. It's his big play capabilities, averaging 16.43 per catch, highest on the CSU offense. 12 of those 14 are on first and second down, Jesse. I'd like to see them get those tight ends a little more involved in third down conversions. CSU is at the bottom of the Mountain West right now in third down efficiency. I think they could help them in that situation.
On the other side of the ball, Wyoming's defense has picked things up considerably, especially on the run defense where they struggled early in the year. They held New Mexico to 110 yards below their season average rushing the football. If they can get that in order, well, this could be a complete ball team.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, the Cowboys are 10th in the Mountain West, like you said, against the run, but their effort versus New Mexico I thought was much better. Though the Lobos are last in the Mountain West Conference throwing the football, and Wyoming came up, stacked that line of scrimmage, and really did a great job in slowing them down. They're number 2 versus the pass, surrendering only about 190 yards per game. And I think balance is critical for this defense with late season games in Idaho and Utah, along with that crazy weather up in Laramie that we see every season. Stopping the run, I think, is going to be crucial in determining how far this Cowboy football team ends up going in 2013.
Got to get it done against their border war rival. Colorado State. Wyoming has won 4 in a row in this series. Kickoff, fittingly, high noon in Laramie on the High Plains, televised by Root Sports, also streamed on the Mountain West Network outside of the Rocky Mountain footprint. Let's go on to another rivalry game, Nevada and Boise State. No love lost between these two teams. Nevada was idle last week. They are 3-3 on the season. Boise State beat Utah State 34-23. They're now 4-2. Start with Nevada. Kendall Brock, 3 rushing touchdowns in the last game against San Diego State. If he gets things going, it takes a lot of pressure off of Fajardo, and this offense can really get running downhill.
Yeah, it really does. You know, Brock only had 32 yards in the loss to UCLA, and then he didn't play against Florida State, which was another loss. And then he rebounds with his best effort, 112 yards, 3 touchdowns versus San Diego State, though in a losing effort. In their 3 wins, the Wolfpack passed for under 55%, and yet in their 3 losses, over 68%. And my point to this, it's hard to find a statistical trend that really defines them with this up-and-down performance. We know Boise is 4th against the run, 7th against the pass. With some of Fajardo's injury problems and that pistol offense starting with establishing the run-off tackle, you're exactly right. Brock coming out and playing effective and well and producing for them could open up some other things for that Wolfpack offense.
Let's talk about Boise State. Joe Southwick, a career-high 335 yards passing against Utah State. Nevada, on the other side, ranks 3rd in the league in pass defense. This is going to be a good test for Joe Southwick and that receiving corps.
It is, and Nevada, though, is 11th in opponent third down conversions at around 50%, and the Broncos are leading the conference at 52.58% in third down conversions. Nevada is stingy with the long passing plays, but they've struggled some on the road in their 3 losses, and Boise State is number 3 in passes of 10-plus yards at 68 this season. The Wolfpack only have 8 sacks. That's 11th in the conference, and they're 8th in the conference as well in passes defended. They kind of keep things short, keep it in front of them, come up, tackle well. Nevada's 11th in opponent passing attempts at 28. The Broncos are averaging 38 attempts a game. So that extra 10 attempts per game is going to be interesting. If the Wolfpack can squeeze that down, I think they've got a chance.
I think so, too. Cody Fajardo, first time he's ever played on the blue turf, despite being a big rival of Boise State. He is the 2nd quarterback to rush for 2,000 yards at Nevada. The other, of course, the great Colin Kaepernick. Kickoff, 6 o'clock. That'll be televised by CBS Sports. Moving on to Utah State and New Mexico. Utah State 3-4 on the year. They lost to Boise State 34-23. New Mexico Mexico, 2-4 on the year. Of course, they lost to Wyoming. The Aggies played two quarterbacks against Boise State, Craig Harrison and Darrell Garrettson. He's a freshman. Where do they go now in the post-Chucky Keaton era? Obviously, this is not where you wanted to be at this season with your star quarterback out, but they got two guys that obviously saw some playing time. Where do they go? Can they play both going forward and be successful?
I tell you what, it's a tough question because Keaton really made the offense go. 69% passer, 4.38 per rush. In the last two losses against BYU and Boise State, you saw that completion percentage drop to 43 and 51. The freshman Garrettson that you mentioned, he came in, he was 9 of 14, a touchdown, threw 2 interceptions. He can't make those mistakes. Utah State, I think, is more balanced and more of an effective team when they're throwing the football. Harrison, in his 4 games, 47%, only 5.8 per attempt. I think I'd start Darrell Garrettson. I really do. I see his passing, backing off the defense a bit to open up the running game for Joey DiMartino and Robert Marshall. In the end, I think I'd go with the freshman. If things got a little dicey there, then bring in the junior.
On the flip side, New Mexico also dealing with a little bit of quarterback problems as it relates to injury. Cole Gauchi, first player since Chance Harridge at the Air Force Academy to have at least 4 100-yard rushing games. Though he did get hurt against Wyoming, New Mexico has come out and said, we don't know who's going to be our starting quarterback. Probably going to be a game-time decision. You ran an option offense. How do you keep the quarterback healthy to stay healthy throughout the entire season? Because he's what makes everything go.
Yeah, no doubt.
Do you worry about the health of a quarterback in this sort of system?
Oh, yes, a little bit, but you live by the sword, you die by the sword, so to speak. And UNM is not going to throw the football to beat you. They're 12th in the Mountain West in attempts, completions, percentage, yards. Gauchi is really nothing more than a running back distributing the ball around, and you're subject to that physical attention from your opponent. Defenses look to force the option by attacking the quarterback. He's 6'4", 227 pounds. That's a huge guy. Even by running back standards, it's kind of a hazard of the job. I say you go with it. Put him in there, let him take the banging. I mean, he knows what to expect. Ultimately, they have a better chance of winning with him in the game.
We'll find out who's going to be the quarterback for the Lobos when they kick things off. 7 o'clock, televised by Root Sports, also streamed live on the Mountain West Network outside of the Root Sports footprint. These two teams, Mountain Division rivals now, have not played since 2002. That game won by the Lobos 34-7. Finally, how about this one? UNLV at Fresno State. UNLV 4-2, a thrilling last-second win over Hawaii. Fresno State 5-0, 2-0 in conference play. Let's start with UNLV. And again, credit where credit is due. This man right here 4 weeks ago said that he thought UNLV would be 4-2 heading into this game. Here the Rebels are on a 4-game win streak, thanks in large part to Caleb Herring, threw for 385 yards against Hawaii, the most for a Rebel quarterback since 1997. Fresno State struggles against the pass. They ranked 10th right now in the Mountain West. Can this be a recipe for an upset?
They struggle against the pass, but it's big plays. It's the big plays in the passing game that really gets that Fresno State defense. And the Rebels are tied right now for 5th in long scrimmage plays of 10+, but, Jesse, tied for 1st in 40+ plays with 10 through the air. 2nd in the conference, 6 50+ yards, and tied for 1st in the conference with 5 plays of 60+ yards in the air. The Rebels have always had a talent. Wide receivers Devontae Davis, Marcus Sullivan, they've been around, but it's the senior play of Herring that you mentioned that's been the difference. 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's really answered the call since that Central Michigan game when he engineered that comeback. The Bulldogs have been subject again to that big play all season. They're tied for 2nd in the Mountain West Conference with interceptions of 8. I tell you what, it could be a shootout. What I'm saying here is I feel like the Rebels have the talent for big strike capability. It will be interesting to see if Tim Druder's defense steps up to the challenge.
We'll see how Fresno State comes off their bye week. They are 4th in the country right now in sacks allowed. The offensive line going into the season, I think Tim Druder had some questions. Not if they could be good or not. He just didn't know. A lot of new guys. They certainly have stepped up in protecting Derek Carr, and that is as big as anything in their 5-game win streak.
Yeah, I mean, a great job by offensive line coach Cameron Norcross. He's done a remarkable job. 3 sacks for only 7 yards, like you talked about. That's first overall in the nation. 0.6 sacks per game is number 4, but no one's protecting the quarterback any better than the Bulldogs right now. And as much of that has to do with the O-line as it does with Derek Carr and his wide receivers. I mean, they're on the same page. He's getting rid of the football quickly. He sits back there in that shotgun offense, reads those defenses, doing an outstanding job in dispersing the ball around. Fresno's coming off a bye week. They've had a chance to heal up. They've moved up to number 17 in the nation. They're 5th in scoring. They're 7th in total offense. And like you said, it does start up front. The likes of Fafita, Wentworth, Bramer, Northern, Wickman. That's a tough group to get by. And they just continue, I think, to grow and get better. It's going to be a fun football game.
Absolutely. UNLV has won 4 straight for the first time since 2000. Kickoff from Bulldog Stadium, 7 o'clock Pacific time. That'll be streamed on the Mountain West Network and Campus Insiders. Yours truly will be on the call, Ted Sundquist,
looking forward
along with Rich Cellini. 4 teams are off in the Mountain West, so we'll talk about them next week. That would be Air Force, Hawaii, San Diego State, and San Jose State. All have byes. For Ted Sundquist, I'm Jesse Kurtz. Thanks for logging on to the Mountain West Network.